A house for €1 sounds too good to be true. Here's the fine print. On September 2, 2008, in the Sicilian hilltop town of Salemi, an unusual municipal decree was signed into law. The town's mayor, Vittorio Sgarbi, introduced a policy designed to combat decades of severe depopulation and physical decay in the historic center. The local government offered abandoned, earthquake-damaged properties to anyone willing to buy them for the symbolic price of €1. This was not a real estate sale in the traditional sense, but a legal framework disguised as a transaction. The concept was simple: use a rock-bottom entry price to attract private investment and offload properties that were costing the town money in maintenance. While Salemi's initial pilot struggled with administrative hurdles and saw limited immediate success, the underlying structure caught the attention of local governments across Italy. Municipalities facing similar economic declines, aging populations, and crumbling buildings began studying the Salemi model. Over the next decade, what started as an isolated experiment in a remote corner of Sicily evolved into a national template. Local councils from Abruzzo to Piedmont adapted the rules to fit their own jurisdictions. By 2026, more than 70 Italian municipalities had launched their own versions of the €1 home scheme. The program was no longer just a quirky local initiative. It had become an internationally recognized marketing tool and a public policy lever designed to revive dying rural communities. But behind the alluring headline of a €1 home lies a highly structured legal mechanism that places significant demands on anyone bold enough to sign the contract. To understand why a house sells for the price of an espresso, one must look at the financial liabilities of modern Italian property ownership. For decades, young Italians have left interior villages for metropolitan areas or jobs abroad. This mass migration left thousands of ancestral homes empty, slowly decaying under the Mediterranean sun. But these buildings did not simply disappear from municipal ledgers. In Italy, owning a home is a taxable reality, even if the roof has collapsed. Owners of vacant, uninhabitable properties are still subject to the National Municipal Property Tax, known as IMU. They must also pay land registry fees and bear legal liability for structural safety. If a tile falls from a neglected roof and injures a passerby, or if a wall collapses into a public street, the financial and legal consequences fall squarely on the owner. For families who inherited these properties generations ago, the sentimental value eventually gets crushed by the compounding costs of taxes and emergency repairs. Faced with properties they cannot sell, cannot afford to restore, and cannot abandon without tax penalties, many owners choose to surrender them to local councils. For a town, these crumbling structures are more than an eyesore. They are a public safety hazard and a drain on municipal resources. By acting as an intermediary, the local government facilitates the transfer of ownership from the overburdened original family to a new buyer. The €1 price tag is a calculated policy tool rather than an act of municipal charity. By reducing the purchase price to a single coin, the town effectively strips away the entry barrier. This allows them to legally transfer the heavy, binding obligation of restoration to someone else. A buyer inherits a strict legal mandate to restore the building, transforming a cheap transaction into a long-term financial commitment. Once the notary seals the deed, a silent countdown begins. The new owner immediately steps into a highly regulated process with strict, legally binding milestones. This purchase functions as a timed restoration commitment rather than an open-ended asset to hold. The town council monitors progress from day one, expecting the buyer to act as an active project manager who must follow a rigid schedule. The first major hurdle arrives quickly. Within 12 months of signing the deed, the buyer must submit a detailed architectural and engineering project to the local council technical office. This document must be a formal, professional blueprint drawn up by a licensed local architect or engineer. It must outline every planned change, detailing everything from structural stabilization to the exact materials used for the window frames. The town's technical office must review and approve this project before any construction permits are issued, meaning planning must be completely finalized before any physical building begins. Once those permits are in hand, the clock ticks even faster. The buyer typically has between 2 and 3 years to complete the entire restoration. This means transforming a crumbling structural hazard with no utilities into a fully certified, habitable home. Every phase of construction must meet local building codes and modern safety regulations. For an international buyer trying to manage a complex construction project from thousands of miles away, this tight schedule turns a romantic dream of slow Italian living into a highly pressured race against the calendar. To secure these transactions, municipal councils implement immediate financial locks. Before ownership is legally transferred, buyers must post a refundable security deposit, typically ranging from 2,000 to 5,000 euros, though some regions require up to 10,000 euros. This money is held as a compliance bond. If a buyer misses a planning milestone or fails to complete the restoration within the 3-year window, the local government retains the entire deposit. In extreme cases of non-compliance, the contract allows the municipality to rescind the sale entirely, reclaiming the deed and relisting the property for a future auction. This penalty structure ensures that buyers cannot simply hold the land as a passive asset. These rules are paired with strict architectural limits. Because most of these properties sit within historic town centers, they fall under the jurisdiction of regional heritage authorities. Demolition is strictly prohibited. Every project must preserve the original character of the building, requiring buyers to retain historic stone facades, traditional roof lines, and exposed structural timber. Municipal technical officers enforce these guidelines through regular on-site inspections. Replacing original wood with cheaper, modern alternatives like PVC windows or using industrial cement plaster is rejected, forcing owners to source authentic local limestone and hire specialized local stonemasons. This tight regulatory network prevents speculative investors from buying properties cheap and flipping them quickly for a profit. By eliminating easy real estate speculation, the rules channel buyers directly into highly regulated, costly restorations that protect local heritage, ensuring that only those with adequate capital can see the project through to completion. When the title transfer is complete, the symbolic €1 coin is paid. But the true entry cost of owning the house is immediately redefined by the structural reality of the property. For a standard historic home in these depopulated centers, a restoration that makes the building fully habitable typically requires an investment ranging from 100,000 to 150,000 euros. These properties are often hollow shells, crumbling stone structures that have stood empty for decades, exposed to rain, wind, and geological shifts. As a result, the largest portion of the budget is absorbed by structural stabilization and core safety work. Under Italian building regulations, any major renovation in earthquake-prone regions must meet strict seismic codes. This means installing steel reinforcements, rebuilding decayed roof trusses, and securing foundations before any cosmetic work can even be considered. These safety upgrades alone frequently cost between 30,000 and 50,000 euros. Once the physical shell is structurally secure, the insertion of modern utility systems begins. Most of these abandoned homes lack functional plumbing, modern electrical wiring, heating, or sewage connections. Installing these from scratch, which requires carving pathways for pipes and cables through thick historic stone walls, adds another 10,000 to 20,000 euros to the total cost. Apart from the physical labor, administrative and professional expenses form a major part of the real financial burden. Buyers must pay for architectural design, engineering reports, and local building permits, which together average between 5,000 and 10,000 euros. Because these buildings sit in protected historic zones, skilled local masons who understand traditional lime mortars and stone cutting techniques must be hired, and their specialized labor comes at a premium. When notary fees, registration taxes, and logistical costs for moving materials through narrow medieval alleys are added, the nominal €1 purchase price is revealed to be merely the initiation fee for a highly regulated, capital-intensive engineering project. In the quiet hills of Campania, the municipality of Zungoli launched a promising pilot scheme, selling an initial batch of 10 homes to eager international buyers. Within months, the practical difficulties of the project began to mount. 7 of those buyers defaulted on their commitments, failing to meet the tight construction deadlines. The town council was forced to cancel the entire batch, reclaiming the properties. Further north in the Lazio region, the town of Patrica advertised 40 empty homes, but only 2 were successfully sold. The mayor admitted the program had stalled, leaving the remaining structures to decay in place. These failures reveal a systemic gap between romantic expectations and administrative realities. The dream of restoring an ancient stone cottage often shatters against the grinding pace of local bureaucracy. A buyer must coordinate architectural blueprints, structural safety audits, and environmental clearances. Securing a standard building permit, known as a permesso di costruire, typically requires months of negotiation with regional heritage offices. A single missing document can stall the entire process, while the 1-year deadline to begin construction continues to tick down. For a foreign buyer managing the project from another continent, coordinating these steps through emails and translation apps becomes an exhausting, slow-moving ordeal. Aside from the paperwork, the physical state of these long-abandoned buildings introduces sudden, expensive surprises. Once contractors strip away decades of decayed plaster, they frequently discover hidden structural emergencies. Foundations destabilized by geological shifts, rotting timber beams, or load-bearing walls bowing outward under the weight of a collapsing roof. Addressing these issues requires specialized engineering work that instantly drains contingency budgets. Finding qualified labor in remote areas creates another bottleneck. Many of these interior villages lack active construction firms, and local tradespeople are often booked for months. The system ultimately separates casual bargain hunters from disciplined project managers. When the strict 3-year clock runs out, buyers face the forfeiture of their security deposits, leaving behind a half-finished stone ruin and a financial loss. In 2018 and 2019, the Sicilian hilltop town of Sambuca di Sicilia became the global showcase for the €1 experiment. Following a wave of international media coverage, the town hall was flooded with over 100,000 inquiries from hopeful buyers around the world. Unlike earlier pilot programs that struggled with local bureaucracy, Sambuca's initiative successfully auctioned off dozens of abandoned homes across 2 highly publicized batches. The resulting influx of private capital was immediate and measurable. Local tax records and municipal reports estimate that the program injected approximately €20 million into Sambuca's economy. This massive financial wave transformed the quiet agrarian town, fueling local construction firms, engineering offices, and artisanal workshops. The local hospitality sector expanded rapidly, with over 20 new bed and breakfasts opening to accommodate a surge of tourists, creative professionals, and digital nomads. Yet, Sambuca's success reveals a critical reality. The town is a distinct outlier rather than a universal template for rural Italy. Sambuca possessed specific geographical advantages, including close proximity to beaches, a well-preserved historic Arab quarter, and an aggressive, English-speaking local administration. For the vast majority of participating towns, especially those located in more isolated regions of the Italian mainland, matching this level of revitalization has proven nearly impossible. The economic windfall that reshaped Sambuca remains a rare exception, highlighting a vast divide between a single viral success story and the broader, more difficult reality of rural depopulation. In 2019, Chicago-based financial advisor Meredith Tabone submitted a winning bid of €5,900 for a 17th-century stone house in Sambuca. At the time, the building was a hollow ruin. It had no electricity, no running water, an asbestos-filled roof, and stood buried under 2 feet of pigeon droppings. To secure the purchase, she also posted a €2,500 compliance deposit. What followed was a grueling 4-year restoration project that concluded in 2023. Tabone's experience reveals the immense gap between a symbolic purchase price and the actual capital required to execute a historic restoration under strict municipal guidelines. By the time her contractors finished structural repairs, seismic retrofitting, and high-spec interior work, her total expenditure reached approximately $475,000. While Tabone successfully transformed the ruin into a comfortable vacation home and an art space, noting that the process improved her work-life balance and reconnected her to her Sicilian heritage, her case is not a universal template. Instead, it serves as an emblem of what is possible when a buyer possesses significant financial resources, professional project management, and a long-term commitment to a physical rescue. Bargain hunters looking for a cheap, move-in-ready escape are fundamentally mismatched for this process. Instead, success requires experienced renovators equipped with substantial capital and patience. Successful buyers treat the symbolic purchase price as an entry ticket to a complex, multi-year construction project rather than a cheap real estate discount. Professional builders, remote workers with flexible schedules, and investors prepared to manage local contractors on the ground are the ones who make these deals work. For local municipalities, the program serves its purpose when it attracts these exact profiles, bringing long-term tax revenue and tourism to struggling regions. However, because local ordinances, heritage rules, and administrative fees vary from town to town, there is no single, universal outcome. Today, Italy's dying towns remain locked in a quiet battle against time. The true cost of these homes was never about the restoration budget, but the willingness to revive a fading community. As more historic villages adopt these schemes, we must ask, can we truly buy a place's future for a single euro? Let us know your thoughts in the comments.